It's time for The Drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Monday edition of The Drive with Qers. We like to call it a Loco Lunes Manolo Man Up Monday edition of The Drive with Q, coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game studios. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Mi hermano Angel Martinez behind the glass producing show, keeping us on the air. 2 hours to play with. We will take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on just another Monday in February the 10th, 2025. Do not forget the 727-858-6650. That will get you involved in two-way sports talk. Bring something to the table. We're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. And oh, by the way, let's just say I do not need any coffee today, because if you ask me right now, I should need coffee today. I should, to be quite honest, to be fully transparent, I should need about 6 or 7 cups. Why? Because I did not sleep. Some slept like a baby yesterday. I don't know. Did something occur yesterday? Did something happen? Did something transpire that I don't know about? Was there an event that happened? Oh, yes, the Super Bowl 59, which, oh, by the way, was not even a friggin' contest. But I had this dream last night around 12:30-ish. I was trying to count sheep. But like I said, I couldn't fall asleep. So I was coming in and out, and I had a 30-second dream that I woke up on Monday morning, and there was this just god-awful mess, chaotic scene in the streets of Philadelphia, Broad Street, Swanson Street, 9th Street, all over the place. People were just riding and just going nuts. Why? Because the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And then it just dawns upon me that, yes, the freaking Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last night. And let me start with this. That was not even a game yesterday. That was an absolute just debacle, a dominating performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. That game wasn't even close. You could have friggin' turned out the lights when it was 17-0 at the end, 40-22, smoke and mirrors, stat padding 22 points for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, who was absolutely harassed, thrashed, and they put him on his ass and his back all game long. And, it's funny too, because yesterday, and I felt in my heart of hearts that when I was going to again come on the air today, and oh, by the way, because it is a Man Up Monday, I have to honor a bet, which I will do in the 5 o'clock hour. But I'm driving around yesterday, had a long weekend, Saturday, a bunch of broadcasts back to back, long weekend on the air, yesterday doing some stuff. Called a couple of my buddies down in Florida, and I basically called to congratulate them. And I called them at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to congratulate them. I said, it's inevitable. I'm calling you now. Go enjoy the game with your kids, your sons, your daughters, your gangrene, blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, mi hermano Angel gives me a text, and he says, hey, I'm at Tampa Joe's. So if you want to chime in with me, chime in. And I said, well, look, I'm driving around. I had to go out with the pup. We had to run a ragged yesterday because I wanted to try to set on and watch the game because, as I alluded to, I was on the air 8 straight hours Saturday night, called the fights in Orleans, called the fights on the West Coast. So I was already grumpy. I was already tired. I was cranky. I was miserable. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to call Angel. We're going to talk about the game. He's in Tampa Joe's, and you got all, the hoot nanny and all the little, the friggin' rat, the friggin' Philly Eagles fans, this and that. And I don't even know, but I'm on the air. I'm thinking I'm on the air with Angel. And I'm on the air with Angel and some young kid who knew his stuff, but it was like a sabotage moment. I mean, I was like, it was like double teamed. It was a sabotage moment. I got this young kid on the air who was probably greener than the freaking grass in Newport Richie, sitting there saying, hey, my man, hey, guy. And Angel knows those are the phrases I cannot stand. So we're doing the spot. We're having fun. We're breaking stones. And then Angel out of nowhere turns around and goes, I don't think this game's going to be close. I can see this being a blowout. So, of course, I had to pump the brakes. And I had to call him out on it because on Friday's show, I said this. The 2 or 3 things that need to happen in order for this game to play out the way Angel was saying it, you were going to have to get to Patrick Mahomes, and he was going to have to be a bad Patty Mahomes. And the battle within the trenches was going to dictate this game. And you don't need to be a football savant, a football guru to understand defense wins championships. Games are won and lost in the trenches. Aside from, mi hermano's prediction of 250 yards for Saquon, but point being, he pretty much called it. 31-13, 31-14. I think that was it. And as I'm texting him as the game's going on, telling him how friggin' miserable I am, telling him no one's doing a friggin' wellness check on me at all, by the way. And everyone's sitting there in Tampa Joe's and Tampa, Newport Richie over there in Clearwater and Fort Myers and Miami and Broad Street and South Street and wherever you guys were. Because I know thousands of you, wherever you guys were, you were just relishing in the fact that I was just sitting there with this little guy, trying my damnedest, trying my best to come up with some bad juju, anything, Maloik's pouch, juju, nothing worked with this guy yesterday. And I resigned. I sat back after it was 10-0. And I text my buddies and I said, this game is over. The game is over. You just felt the Eagles were so locked in yesterday. That's one of the most dominating performances I've ever seen on a big stage. And when you break down this game, the fact that you're able to harass and get to Patrick Mahomes and you're not even blitzing this cat and you're still knocking him on his ass, it pretty much tells you everything you need to know. The Kansas City Chiefs, they were so content with just trying to stop number 26 that they left their guys on an island. And Jalen Hurts didn't have to be spectacular yesterday. And I'll get to Jalen Hurts and the narrative and the perception of Hurts in a moment. He didn't have to be spectacular. After that bad turnover, that was an opportunity for Kansas City to get back in the game. That was the opportunity. And all I've heard over the last 24 to 48 hours was, well, you know what? They're never out of the game. Or maybe it was just complacency. Look, it's 7-0, and you're not going to panic. You're not panicking at 7-0. But then you punt, and then you get the pick, and you're like, okay, here you go. But then they punt, and then the Eagles get the field goal. Okay, 10-0, you're feeling pretty good about yourselves if you're a Kansas City fan, even though the Eagles were dominating them up to that point. They dominated them throughout the whole game. They absolutely dominated them in the first half. This game was not even close. 10-0 felt like 17-0. But if you're a Chiefs fan, you think to yourself, we're going to be okay. And you had the earlier drop by Kelsey, which I think offensively set the tone. And then you get the pick six. And you get Patrick Mahomes, who, again, if you are a Hall of Fame quarterback, a legendary quarterback, which he is, you still cannot make that throw. You cannot think that you're above it all and just roll out to your right, cross your body. You can't do it. He gets picked off DeJean. He goes in 17-0. For all intents and purposes, the game was over. The game was over right there and then. And then what happens? You turn around, you get the ball back, and you're like, okay, just get 3 if you're Kansas City. Get 3, go in 17-3, get the ball back, 17-6, 17-10. Now all of a sudden the Eagles might tighten up. And what does he do? He throws another pick. And the Eagles put it in the back of the end zone. And by the way, like I said, 24-0, hell, 17-0 to play to AJ Brown, 24-0. That's all she wrote. That felt like it was a 31-0 type of game. It wasn't even remotely close. And for a team that's a back-to-back defending, two-time defending Super Bowl champ in the Kansas City Chiefs, to come out so flat, to come out and play such uninspiring football was alarming. It was absolutely alarming. And you have to give the flowers today. You have to give the just due. As much as it pains me to give credit, you have to be fair here. Because defensively, all we talked about was Spags. And what did Fangio do? He devised a brilliant game plan. I mean, there's no way on any other God's green earth where you're not blitzing Patrick Mahomes, he's gonna cause those mistakes. He dropped back to pass 42 times. They didn't blitz him once, and they got to him, what, 6 times? It felt like 10 sacks. He did not play well. Andy Reid did not coach well. Kelsey did not play well. They ran the ball 11 times. 11 times. Mahomes was sacked 6 times. The 21 of 32 and a couple of late touchdowns. This could have been a shutout. It could have been a shutout. And, this whole narrative, I don't want to hear the nonsense about, some of these calls because I said this on Friday. We're going to come on the air on Monday, and right away you saw right off the bat the ticky-tack call. And the Eagles had to overcome that. And then you get Hopkins talking about listen, Kansas City, what happened yesterday was pretty simple. We looked at Kansas City as a whole. We overvaluated Kansas City for who they are and their reputation. And that happens. And there's no fault in that. There's zero fault in that. You're a team, a franchise, a dynasty. You've got Hall of Famers. You got a Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame tight end. You got a Hall of Fame head coach. You won back-to-back Super Bowl titles. You're going for history. Of course, the recency bias, people are going to jump on there. And then you go through their season. And we know the seasons, there's progressions in NFL seasons, right? And you go through the ebb and flow. And 15-2, you say to yourself, man, this team's a juggernaut. They weren't. They were leaking oil. They were leaking oil and they were winning by smoke and mirrors. And they ran up against a friggin' buzzsaw. They ran up against a team that felt slighted, that felt disrespected, that felt as though no one was giving them an absolute chance in hell. It's exactly what they felt. They felt, you know what? No one's going to give us a chance in hell. We're not gonna be able to get the job done. The franchise quarterback isn't a franchise quarterback. The running back, he's washed. The head coach is a clown, and all they did is just rip opponents throughout the season. And then you culminated last night with an absolute defensive gem last night by the Philadelphia Eagles because they could have pitched a shutout. I mean, listen, man, I've covered a lot of football, and I've been doing this a long time, and I watched a lot of football. And we said it on Friday's show, you don't get a lot of blowouts in the Super Bowl. Again, you don't get a lot of blowouts. And yesterday, that was one of those games, and I thought it was going to be a close game. I thought it was going to be a game that came down to the trenches. I thought it was going to be a game where Kansas City had the ball last, and you were going to see the best of Mahomes, and you didn't. You didn't. That was probably one of the worst games that Patrick Mahomes has ever played in his life. But you also can say that two things can be true. You can say that Patrick Mahomes played poorly, that Kelsey looked disinterested, that they didn't run the ball, that Andy Reid looked shell-shocked, Spags was overmatched. That can be true. But then you can also take a step back and say the Eagles' defense was the primary reason because they were able early on to set the tone, and they were able to knock Mahomes off his spot. And a wise man once told me too, you can be a superhuman quarterback, okay? But you can also look human if you're being knocked around. That, again, without even blitzing, without even sending edge rushers, without even blitzing, they made Mahomes look human. He looked normal. He looked like an average quarterback. But my thing is this, from a Kansas City standpoint, because I'm going to laud the Eagles, from a Kansas City standpoint, again, how in the world can you sit there and show up in this game, in the big moment, and not show up? It makes no sense. You're going for a history. You want to be a 3P champ back to back to back. Back to back to back, and you don't even show up, and you let the Eagles basically bully you. I mean, yesterday they got dog walked. It's exactly what happened. There was no sense of urgency. There was no pride. There was no fight. That falls on Andy Reid. And Patrick Mahomes can take the bullets and say whatever he wants. He played a god awful game. A god awful game. And let's just pump the brakes on the all-time great conversation. Yes, if you would have won and you cement your legacy, which is always cemented, but let's pump the brakes on the better than Montana, better than Brady. Just everyone take a step back. It wasn't their finest moment. And I don't know if the dynasty is dead or not. I don't. That team's offensive line stinks. They got exploited and they were ripe for the picking. And then you have the flip side of that, the other side of the field. And let me offer 2 public apologies. Let me publicly apologize first to Nick Sirianni, who, oh, by the way, many of you, including myself, including the incredible shrinking Hermano behind the glass, who I know is just donning some friggin' Eagles jersey, but whatever. We all were saying, get rid of this guy after the collapse. 10-1, drop 6 of 7, get waxed by Tampa Bay, no show. He's a clown. He's a clown. I mean, me mocking him when he was talking about planting roses and seeds and me singing Bet Middle of the Rose on the air several years ago after one of his pressers, that didn't age very well. This guy just wins and you can get away with it with the theatrics. You might not like him. You got to respect the job that he's done. And the players play for him. And I know it's a cliche and I know it's overused and I know it's derived. But the bottom line is that coaching staff, that was a masterclass yesterday. That was a masterclass. And the players, obviously, it's pretty evident they love Sirianni. So this guy's got to go. Hey, not anymore. Look, he was lame duckish. Now he's not. That's number 1. Number 2 is this. Can the talking heads that get paid a lot of money to go on a lot of networks and a lot of outlets. First of all, a lot of them did not show up today. I mean, was it a sick day for some of you guys? I'm just asking for a couple friends. Was it a sick day? Can we stop now with the Jalen Hurts nonsense? Can we just stop? It's got to end. It's this is coming from a Giant fan, a diehard Giant fan, as you all know. It's got to end. Just stop. I don't want to hear any more nonsense. I don't want to hear any more crap. I don't care about list. I don't care what Chris Sims is coming up with or Coward saying they're not going to move the ball or Lasky. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense anymore about Jalen Hurts. I don't. Because if you continue to slander this kid, if you continue to rip and criticize this kid, it's pretty evident you look like a jackass. You got an agenda. You're pushing your own narrative. You're making 0 sense. All the kid does is win. That's it. That's all this kid does. And I had to listen for years, everyone killing and crushing and killing this kid constantly. Constantly. What was it last year? And I'm not calling out Angel, but one of the comments was, well, he flew to friggin' Seattle by himself. That was the conversation we had at that time. It has nothing to do with you per se. Or he's making these bad decisions, these bad reads, or the kid never smiled. That's his demeanor, man. Yeah, he made a bad throw yesterday. It happens. But he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore that Jalen Hurts is not a winner. I mean, and it's really for the talking heads out there. It's really for the talking heads out there that constantly want to piss on this kid. He just wins. What do you want him to do? I told you guys this on Friday. This is exactly what I said, and I was 4 yards off. I said, if Jalen Hurts goes 20 of 25 for 225, and he adds another 50-something yards on the ground, the Eagles win, people are still going to bitch and complain. They're still going to complain about this kid. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice. He could have been MVP a couple years ago if they would have won that game. And if you want to sit there and say, you could have gave it to the defense yesterday, a la 2007 and Eli and the Giants and Tuck and Strahan and OC, Go ahead. Defense was lights out yesterday. Defense was like Carter, Smith, Williams. They were making plays left and right. Bourne making plays. DeJean making plays. They were flat out balling, but Jalen Hurts is the leader. Jalen Hurts accounted for 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts made the throws when he had to. This notion that he can't play or he's not a franchise quarterback, just stop. Stop. Because all you're doing is embarrassing yourself. You're basically coming out and you're pushing your narrative to make sure it sticks. And here's the reality of Jalen Hurts. He's 46-20 as a starter. He could have been an MVP. He's gone to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. He's won big games. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice. He's worth every friggin' penny of the 5 years, $255. He was drafted as a backup to Carson Wentz, which everyone at the time when I was on the air sat there and said, why are you drafting this kid? He can't play. He was benched in Alabama. This kid's not a winner. He's too small. He doesn't have the heart. He doesn't have the gumption. He doesn't have the toughness. And what does he do? And here's the brilliance. Here's the brilliance of this whole pushing the narrative and trying to just cram it down everyone's throat, which doesn't sit. It just does not sit. That touchdown to Smith yesterday, which basically put the final nail in the Chiefs' coffin. You know what kind of touchdown throw that was? That was a pretty much F you to the haters. That's pretty much what it was. It was F you to the haters. Good for Jalen Hurts. And you know what? Good for Saquon Barkley. Look, it was a horrible week for me. Eli doesn't get in. Saquon's going to Super Bowl. The Eagles absolutely wax Kansas City. You know, that freaking clown Strahan's waving a flag. I mean, it was a horrible week. But you have to man up on this Manolo Man Up Local Lunes Monday edition of The Drive. And you have to give credit. Look, I got sabotaged yesterday. Angel sandbagged me. I got sabotage on the text thread. I got sabotage on trolls. I'm doing spots all over the place. I have no idea who's popping on, trying to rattle me, trying to get under my skin. It was a sabotage Sunday. But I took it like a man. I took the lumps. Even when it's 21-0 or 24-0, I'm texting Angel and all the responses, we need 20 more points. I had to text him back to shut up already and just enjoy it. The game was over. It was absolutely over. All right, we're going to open it up on the other side. 727-858-6650. Get in, 727-858-6650. Listen, I got a lot of comments coming on Facebook. I see you guys. I will take it. You come on. You guys know, there are those that run towards the fire and guys that run away. I mean, I'm not, trying to ride a horse down Broad. All right, we'll get to your comments on the side. A lot, obviously, on the Super Bowl. Where do we put this win right now for the Eagles? And look, is the dynasty dead with Kansas City? So we'll get into the game itself. 727-858-6650. Quickie timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't forget to get social with us. Follow Q at Rich Q on Q. And now, back to Q.
All right. What do we got here? 25 past the 4 o'clock hour, 727-858-6650. All right, let me take the beating like a man on this Local Lunas Manolo Man Up Monday edition of the. By the way, let me have a word with you first. You can pop your little friggin' incredible shrinking head onto the screen for a moment. Let me have a moment or two with you and your nonsense. Your reverse little mush tactics, playing the friggin' babe in the woods on Friday, the victim that they weren't going to win. I mean, I just sickens me, that jersey, by the way. What, I felt as though yesterday I was set up. I felt it was a sabotage yesterday on the air.
It was. Hold on. Let me dust that off for a second. Had to bring it back.
I was going to say, you get water stuck in the, what is that, when the thing goes down and it grabs the toy?
Not at all. Not at all. This is authentic.
Now, go ahead, Wax. But let me first say congratulations. And then let me just say what a prick move that was by you yesterday.
Listen, it wasn't. Listen, Ryan, he knew his stuff. He had reached out to me beforehand, and it was the first time, honest to God, that I heard him spewing what he did yesterday. As a matter of fact, Rick even said in the text while we were here during the break, he said, the conversation with Q and the kid Ryan was worth listening to again. Well done, guys. And he was spitting out information.
I thought he was auditioning for a part, like a bit or a segment or something, just giving me all the stats and firing off and all this stuff. And then when he pulls out the, hey, guy, hey, man, I'm like, whoa. And then I got to look at these videos of you at Tampa Jones and you're still bitching and complaining. You need 21 more points. It was 24-0. The game was over.
It was over, but hey, listen, I mentioned it last week during a show, just like I did during a pregame, that it was going to be a 45-21 game. And it was very, very close of doing so.
No. You didn't. You said it was 31-14 yesterday.
No, I did. I said, boy, you don't even listen to it.
I listened to know when I was getting sandbagged. Yeah.
I didn't say that. Brian said that. I said 45-21. Go back as X-Man and everybody else says. Listen to the tape.
Up 250.
Matter of fact, I even put it with the post that I put out there. So it's okay. My thing was that throughout the entire year, and just like the NFL networks, ESPNs of the world, everybody, including me, just like you mentioned before I came on with you, that we all said that Nick Sirianni should be gone. And he once he realized after the 2-2 start. And even still, to me, it was like, all right, whatever. I got to see what this guy's going to end up doing. Once he got rid of being a fan and back to being a coach, then it became a different story. But it's like everything else. You don't know. And you get worried because it's like, what's going to happen here? Could we possibly put this together, make a run, and finally get the second one? What we saw yesterday, no one. If you would have told me on Friday, oh, by the way, here's what's going to happen. Or by the way, it's going to be 28-0 at the half. I would have never friggin' thought that way. There's
give him a little more credit because he's also the one that decided to put Becton, move Becton over on the line. That wasn't Stoutland. So that's number one. Okay. And the other thing is, look, he coaches these guys up, man. And there's something to be said when you've got players that are willing to run through a brick wall for you. And that's what they have. I mean, come on. That's what they have right now. I mean, period. And you've got a great offensive line. You have an all-world running back. It's like it was a perfect storm yesterday. It was a perfect storm. And as much as I tried to friggin' just kibosh it and will it wasn't going to happen. I told you before I got off the air yesterday. What was my closing, my parting shot while I'm getting tossed to the friggin' wolves and I'm drowning on the air yesterday. What was my parting? Stop smiling. What was my parting shot? I told you, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's inevitable the Eagles are going to win the game. I'm calling people 1 o'clock to congratulate them. No one saw that type of domination.
No.
Even though you mentioned the score, nobody saw that. They broke the back. They broke the back of the Kansas City Chiefs. They broke Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
He looked so uninterested, and people were like, he's sickly. Maybe there's a flu going. I don't want to hear about a flu. I don't want to hear about dehydrated. I don't want to hear, maybe it's sleepless nights. He had a newborn. Hey, man, it's friggin' Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep.
Is it possible that maybe Kansas City got a tad complacent and they overlooked the Eagles? And if they did, shame on them, because you're in the friggin' Super Bowl. There's not a tomorrow, man. There's absolutely not a tomorrow. So, yes, as I alluded to, as I got bamboozled yesterday, because that's exactly what it was. I can live with the Eagles winning. It hurts. And I can live with Saquon getting the ring. I can live with that. And I can feel joy and happiness for family and friends who are Philly fans. I don't have to like it. I can be salty about it. But what I can't tolerate is being set up, being bamboozled.
It wasn't a setup.
It wasn't. You put a young lion on me.
And listen, it wasn't. Ryan reached out and he said, "Are you going to be there on Sunday?" I said, "Yes," because he said he's been, slowly but surely making his way around and trying to figure out.
And I don't have a problem with that. But when you start to pull the my man,
listen, I had no control over what he was saying.
I'm covering teams back in the late 90s, 2000s. This kid was probably still a twinkle in his parents' friggin' eye, not even. And I get to my man. Let's see what the people have to say. 737-858-6650. Not a green hook. Trevor, I'm going to give you something better in the 5 o'clock hour. Now I have to squint. Or wait, hold on. I have to do the thing that you showed me. Hold on a second. Most of your loyal listeners pick the Eagles. Pick the bird. Listen, Bunker Boys, the Mountain Men, the ones that were on airplane mode for most of the season, that had clearly no reception. A couple times the Eagles lost, or maybe they got a little disheveled or nervous. They are allowed to come out of the bunker, and you can enjoy the festivities and the parade. Yeah, go ahead. Fangio didn't have to blitz once. Let me just scroll down. Got home continuously with just 4. Yeah. It was a great defensive effort by the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a dominating performance. What more can you say? It was absolutely it was dominating. I can't even believe the nonsense trolls I'm getting on Facebook right now. I didn't even get to the text messages, by the way. I didn't even get to that.
Oh,
some of them, I feel as though I read them, I have to go to church. Odds on who can climb a grease light pole faster in Philly on Broad Street. All I saw, listen, Angel, I was so aggravated that I refused to watch like the final quarter. I was not flipping on post games. I was not, the breaking friggin', the news alert. I'm like, no, just Netflix, and started to watch Entrevias, started to watch my Spanish soaps, and, the dog's out like a light, and the phone was just non-effing stop. It just would not stop. It just was just to the point of just annoyance. C team at best, even on a prime. Bette Midler, wing beneath my wings. What do you know, Joey? So wait, there's a backstory to that. When Sirianni got hired, and I was on 1490 doing the gambling pod, I was doing Back Your Play, BYP. I took clips of the presser.
Oh, geez.
Well, do you remember during his press conference, he was talking about how you have to have patience, you have to water the flowers?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
You know me. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, this guy's a clown. He's not lasting. So what I did is I played Bette Midler, the Rose, in the background with his comments. And everyone got a kick out of it.
Right.
And I'm like, this guy's not going to last a year or two. And here we go. 2 out of the last 3 years in the Super Bowl. And now you can't take it away from him. He's a Super Bowl head coach.
Sure can't.
So that didn't age well. It didn't age well for me. Jovan chimes in. People got to start putting some respect on Jalen Hurts' name. He's a winner. Spags was determined to stop the run, and he still made plays. He did. He didn't need to do anything out of the ordinary. Jalen Hurts, like, you didn't need him yesterday to be extraordinary, but when they were stacking the box continuously, and they were so afraid that Saquon was going to beat him. So afraid. Jalen Hurts made the throws that he had to make, throw on the edges on the outside, and then he hit Brown. And the toss to Smith was absolutely, it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous. It's Joey saying, Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, he said a feel-good story of the Super Bowl. How cool was it on his 22nd birthday?
I mean, now we're doing that. All right, fine. Yeah. Hey, congratulations. I mean, I'm just looking. I can't. See, it's already beginning, right? Look, so Brian's chiming in. Q, thanks, Q, for sending over Barkley. Really helped us out. This is where we're going with this nonsense today.
What else is in there? Santa Clara.
Rattling some stats off today. Is that what I'm doing? Rattling off stats, metrics, and Saquon shotgunning a beer last night.
Oh, here's someone new.
Giants should have. What's Rena got to say? What's she saying? How stupid are Giant fans? Really?
How do you feel?
How stupid do they? I'm over it. I mentioned this during the season. I said this during the offseason, and I said it last year. And this would be my last Giant to Saquon because everyone else just moved past it. Let it the frig go. They should have traded him. They didn't. He took money. He took an opportunity. The Eagles paid him. You can break down the contract all you want. Better situation, great offensive line. He's not having that type of year behind the Giants' offensive line. He's not. And good for Saquon. Right? Good for him. Good for him. Good for Saquon Barkley because he had a historic season. I can't hate him for that. His legs carry them to this point. That's a fact. That is a fact. He was a beast for them. The offensive line was a beast. They have a great team. They have a great team. Like, let's not underscore that. Let's really kind of take a step back for a moment. They didn't just beat Kansas City. They just manhandled them. They could have put up 50 yesterday. They could have. I remember blowouts in the Super Bowl because back in the day, growing up, there were a lot of games that were not competitive. 46-10, the Bears over the Patriots, the Giants 39-20 over Denver, Washington destroyed the Broncos, all those Bills teams, except for the 2019 loss to the Giants. They were getting blown out. San Fran put up what, 55 against Detroit. There were blowouts. Miami losing 38-16 to the 49ers. And then we had some classics. Yesterday's game, look, unless you were a betting man and you hit a couple of the props or you hit the line or you hit the Eagles, whatever, you need the touchdown late to cover the nut for the over, or you were a diehard Eagles fan and you just sat back and relaxed and started to enjoy yourself at 17-0, 24-0. That game sucked. That game was boring. There was no juice to the game. There was no electricity. I mean, I did laundry during halftime. I didn't give a shit about halftime. The commercials, you had a couple good ones. I like the Harrison Ford one. Okay. With the Jeep. There were a couple here and there, but other than that, the game, it was bad. It was boring. Again, unless you're a diehard Eagles fan, you were just loving it. You're absolutely loving that game yesterday. Mahomes and the entire Kansas City offense looked unprepared. They thought they can just show up and put up points. They underestimated Philly's defense. How are you so complacent during a Super Bowl? How do you step out on the field in front of billions of people, hundreds and thousands of countries, and you don't even show up? You don't even show up.
By the way, speaking about showing up, where's X-Man Man? Does he have the bird flu?
Hey, X-Man Man, I don't know. I mean, he probably took the loss too. He probably took the loss hard. I can't blame him. Look, this is what happens when your team is not even remotely competitive. This is exactly what happens. By the way, I got to start. We'll get to the comments, but let me take some of these goofballs right now that are just crushing me. Joe D, Philly, chimes in. Q, as one of your listeners alluded to, not only are the little lights not twinkling, but that's not a green hoodie. I know how miserable you must feel today. Maybe you need a little more fresh roasted coffee to get you through the day. If not, suck it up. The Giants suck, and the Eagles are world champions.
All right. Well, hang on for your next comment as we have Jerry from Rhode Island on the line.
Is Jerry here? Is Jerry going to mock, or is Jerry trying to do a wellness check on me?
I texted you yesterday, and I was going to ask you how you were doing, but I never got a response. But the other thing, I'm going to give you a little bit of. I'll make you feel a little bit.
Wait, you text me? That was on X. I saw your. Okay, I thought the wellness check was from Angel. I didn't know you were checking on me, and I appreciate that, Jerry.
I was checking on both of you because I knew Angel was partying, and I knew that you would be stuff.
I would be what, miserable?
Now, I just want to I remember a conversation way in the beginning of the season about the parity in the league. And the reason that the Chiefs made it this far is they're not, I mean, I know I'm not a conspiracy guy, but they're not used to getting the calls against them. And that the Bills should have been there because he did get the first down. But if you remember, I know you remember, when Coughlin, when they beat my Patriots in the Super Bowl, Coughlin was relentless.
Yep.
Brady couldn't get his feet at all.
Yep.
And that was friggin' awesome. I mean, Coughlin was, he's much better coach than Reed is. But the thing was, I don't understand is why did they wanted to make what's his name, Hurts. They wanted him to win the game for them, and he was doing it. But they kept stacking the box, waiting for Barkley to run. I'm like, man, you guys are just you can just see that it wasn't going to happen. You know.
Yeah, the Kansas City's defense was so worried that Saquon was going to break one. They were so worried they put all their eggs in one basket defensively, and that was trying to just shut down Saquon. That they didn't realize a couple times, if you go back and watch, when they started to stack the box, and I also mentioned too, Jerry, I said this on Friday's show, and Angel can attest to this, to third down, the lack of conversions. When they had the Eagles in a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, 3rd and center, 3rd and 7, and then they decide, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to drop back or we're going to rush those edge rushers. That's the worst case scenario because Jalen Hurts is able to get out of the pocket and pick up those yards with his legs. So not only did he do it with his legs, but then all of a sudden they kept keen on Saquon. They didn't realize that they're leaving their corners on an island with Smith and Brown. I thought Spags did not have he didn't have a banner night, but listen, that game was lost because the Eagles defense dominated the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. I mean, they just dominated them.
No, there's no question. I mean, for me, I didn't want to see Kansas City win, so I had probably more fun watching because I didn't have a team in the fight.
Right.
I had a lot of fun watching the whole thing, but I just couldn't believe that Reed. I mean, there was no short passes. They were trying to do 10, 15 yards.
They didn't run the ball. They didn't even run the ball. I mean, how do you run it 11 times?
I know, but he saw a ghost. He just saw a ghost every time there was rushing. He was just worrying about getting killed.
Yeah,
it's too much to text, so I had to call. I hope you don't mind.
No, listen, I don't mind, and I appreciate the wellness check. I mean, it didn't help me at friggin' 11:35 last night where I had the chills in bed. I mean,
But doing laundry and the dishes and maybe some vacuuming and stuff, that was probably a good idea though.
Jerry, I appreciate it, pal. Thank you.
Congratulations, Angel.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Beautiful ring. You should put that up on the screen every time you talk to Q now.
Yeah, oh, yeah, right. Because that's going to sit well with me. Yeah. What? Hey, I got a better idea. Why don't you just take me to the parking lot in Newport Richard and kick me in the nuts and get it over with?
Talk to you. I'm listening.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
I mean, that's like I need to deal with that kind of nonsense. Come on, man. Listen, I will say when they, the other thing that is just brutal for me. The other thing is that, for years, my only retort was, shut up and win a ring. So now you get the one. So I gotta pump the brakes a little bit, right? Because I respected the run.
Right.
Nick Foles back up. Here we go. Can't really say anything right now. I mean, no one can really say anything. Dallas Cowboys fans can't say anything. No one can say anything. Kansas City fans, I don't want to hear. I mean, my God, did you do a wellness check on Neff? Holy shit. I mean, he's a Kansas City fan. I don't want to hear any more about the refs or the officiating or the narrative. I don't want to hear anything. They flat out, man to man, pound for pound, they got absolutely dominated yesterday. And Tom and Summers' point, I mean, you want to talk about being like, so he knows I'm not the biggest Sirianni fan, but he chimes in on Facebook and he says, I can't believe you're actually giving credit to Sirianni. What the hell is in the coffee today? Because I know it's just not fresh roasted coffee, but I do appreciate you sticking up for Jalen Hurts over the last several years. He showed he's a franchise quarterback. Go Birds. P.S. Your Giants still suck. That is the theme. And I can live with that. I can absolutely live with that. And it's not about them or the Cowboys or the Bills or the Ravens, who, oh, by the way, I thought the Ravens and the Bills probably would have gave a little better of a game. It's about the Eagles today. And it's a job that Howie Roseman has been able to do and put the team together. I'm watching it yesterday, right? And you tell me and be honest, and I want to get your guys' thoughts as well. 727-858-6650. It was the first series where you get the bad call. I mean, okay, fine. AJ Brown with the little love tap on the mask. Okay. But then Kansas City dodges the bullet. They get the ball back, and then you have the bad Kelsey drop. I thought that was a prelude of things to come.
Yeah.
And here's another thing we talked about Friday and yesterday as I was being sandbagged by you and the other youngster. I told you, sometimes you have players who are unsung that step up and make a play. Dotson makes that first little dagger, right? The pass down the sideline doesn't get in. They finally get in with the tush push. It's 7-0. It was a pro Eagles crowd. They drowned out Kansas City after the Hurts pick. I actually think it was the best thing for them because it settled them down. The defense figure, okay, we need to step up right now. Again, forced another 3 and out, I think it was, got the field goal to 10-0. And then at 10-0, even at 17-0, you're Kansas City, you get the ball back and you figure, okay, if we can get 3 out of here and get the ball to come out of the break and score again, we know this team's going to tighten up. They didn't do that. And you had another pick. I mean, you can't, how do you quantify, right? How do you quantify stats aside? Mahomes is a great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but if you hit a quarterback enough, I don't care if it's Montana, Brady, Bradshaw, Manning, Mahomes, it doesn't matter. They don't like it.
Right.
And I just thought the Eagles were so disruptive. And like you guys are pointing out, and Jovan's pointed out, and a lot of you guys are pointing out, they weren't even, imagine if they were sending a blitz. Imagine if they were sending the house. And then you saw the vintage Mahomes where he scrambled and he threw a dime to Worthy. But it was too little too late, man. It was, I can't sit here and tell you that the dynasty is over. I can't, because we don't know. I just know that this team is flawed. And I think people looked at Kansas City and and I'm guilty of it. My reasoning was the winning DNA in a close game. We didn't even have that opportunity yesterday. And Fox tried their damnedest when that game was 24-0 to try to sell you, to sell America on the fact that Kansas City was still in the game. What the hell are you watching? The game was over at 17-0. I don't know how many people turned away, or maybe people who just can't stand Kansas City said, pile it on, pile it on. I have no idea the split, the eyeballs, the ratings. I'm sure it did outstanding numbers. But point is, don't sell me that crap, because I got swampland in friggin' Florida I can sell you as well at 11 o'clock at night with Eric Estrada. Like, that's just a crock of nonsense. The game, there was no way the Philadelphia Eagles were losing that game, especially at 17-0, and the dagger at 24-0. I mean, and yet I still felt I had to text you and tell you that the game was over, and you still, you gave me the babe in the woods yesterday. That's another thing that bothered me. You had us all fooled.
All I know is it was an incredible season. And, I didn't even think about it till now. You're mentioning as far as some of the stuff that went on yesterday. Is it a 1-2 dagger between Saquon Giants and then Dotson being swiped from Washington, and then he ends up winning a first one over there? So
listen, if I'm very honest, I think sometimes I'm too honest. I knew he was going to sign with the Eagles. I did. I knew he was going to sign with the Eagles. It was almost inevitable. Like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go down to 95 and you're going to stick it to the Giants. I got over that fast. Because you can't begrudge a player like Saquon Barkley. He was off injured with the Giants. He had a couple really great seasons. He helped them win a road playoff game, right? And I always thought you don't draft a quarterback that high. And I was never sold on him being the guy. Like, I thought he was a great running back. But point being is, I didn't like the draft pick where it was at. I didn't believe in it.
Right.
It's nothing like, there are still some fans out there, or even some media members or talking heads in New York and Sports Talk Radio. They still have this axe to grind with Saquon. I mean, once Saquon signs with the Eagles, you move on. He drops that pass. What was the game they lost against? Was it the Atlanta game, or early on in the season? He drops a pass and everyone's like, see, have fun with this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Trust me, he's going to be okay. I didn't think he was going to run for 2,000 yards, but I figured he'd run for about 1,200 to 1,300 behind that offensive line. Like, he's still a great player when healthy. That was always the caveat.
Yeah.
When he's healthy is on the field. If you sit there and say he's, I never said he was washed. I never said he was washed. I just felt the Giants were going to move on. They didn't want to pay him. And I also believe you don't need a big-time running back like a big-time wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. It's been proven time in and time out. But it just so happened that he goes down 95 to a team that I absolutely despise. So that was dagger number one. He rushes for 2,000 yards. He could have been the MVP. Dagger number two. They make this remarkable run. He's just running like a madman possessed, and they go to the Super Bowl and win it. So yeah, dagger number three, but it'll sit with me for a couple of days, and then you move on. You move on. At the end of the day, like, we joke and we have fun with it, but you should still be able to get your 8 hours. This is not going to affect your life either way. I mean, for me, did I toss and turn a little bit last night? Yeah, I did. I absolutely did, because I just knew what was waiting for me. And the other thing is, too, the amount of text messages that I've gotten from ex-Eagles that I've known for years, that have done radio with me, that have done meet and greets with me, that I thought were contemporaries, friends. There was mutual respect. I can't even read these on the air. They're not even G-rated. They're X-rated. I mean, the F-bombs. I mean, I'm thinking about, where do you want me to stick what? Where? I can't even. Because they know how I am, and I bleed blue. And, when you don't win and then someone else wins, you needle a little bit. But the thing is, they're giving it right back, and I got to take it. And that's okay. I predicted this team. I had the worst. You want to cold freeze it, cold take? I had the worst take. I said this team was not going to make the playoffs. I mean, what the hell do I know? Now, do I get bailed out a little bit saying the Jets weren't going to make the playoffs or Washington was going to make the playoffs? Okay. But still, everything fell into place for them this season. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what people have to remember. You look at a year like this, and fans were fanatical. Fans, human nature. This is what fans do.
Yeah.
They want to come up with excuses, or they want to have their narrative or their comment, their thought, their opinion fit their narrative. So what you'll hear now is, well, Minnesota lost, Detroit lost. They weren't beating those teams. Yes, they were. Now, would Buffalo and Baltimore have given the Eagles a better game yesterday? I think so, especially with Lamar Jackson. I told you, I thought the best team in the NFL were the Buffalo Bills. I've been saying that from the get-go. It's one of the reasons I had Josh Allen win the MVP. The second best was Baltimore, and the Eagles were right there. Well, guess what? They beat Baltimore. Right? So, can I sit here and tell you that Buffalo's winning the game yesterday? No. Can I tell you Baltimore's winning the game? No. It was just their day. It was just their day. I mean, you guys have been watching sports your entire life. Sometimes it's just your time. Guys stepped up and you had unsung heroes make plays. That's what sports is all about. I mean, think about the first championship run. Carson Wentz goes down in LA and it's just, woe is me. And I remember I came on the air that day and I literally said, relax. You win a game or two, you're in the NFC Championship. You win that, you're in the Super Bowl. Anything can happen. You can play that perfect game. Maybe this is just Nick Foles' time. It was Nick Foles' time. I had Jeff Hostetler on when Foles was making that run because Sims goes down when they're 10-2, 11-2 in the rain in New York against Buffalo, and the Haas comes in and they win a Super Bowl with Hostetler. So I didn't think it was going to be impossible for the Eagles to do it. This year, they were just physically the more dominating team. Angel, the numbers, the stats, they don't lie. Kansas City, I had to do a double take. Kansas City had 23 total yards in the first half?
Yeah. Yeah. It was insane. Not only the thing, we also have Mahomes too, the second worst rating ever, 11.4.
Horrible.
I swear, like I said, last year when we went over there to Radio Row, it was completely different. And I would expect it the same because, again, you didn't hear the entire week. You never heard Mahomes, Kelsey, none of them be like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But basically same rhetoric they've been spitting out for the last 2 years is the same thing they said this year because they wanted to make sure that we're not coming here and beating our chest and saying everything's going to be dominated by our fashion. To see what we saw yesterday from Kansas City, it's like Kansas City was like, damn, are we here or did we leave our soul?
By the way, it's a great point you brought up, not to interject for a second, not to cut you off. They had to go back and watch defensively what Tampa Bay did to Mahomes because they harassed him in that Super Bowl.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you can be an all-time great quarterback, which he is, but you can also have, again, a bad day. And he had a very bad day. I mean, it's like the scene in Airplane, right? Bridges in there saying, I picked a bad week to stop sniffing glue. I mean, that's what it was yesterday. Kansas City picked a bad week and a bad Sunday to play their worst game, right? Or picked a bad week to stop smoking cigarettes or picked a bad week to stop drinking. I mean, it's exactly what it was. They picked the worst time, the most ill-advised time to not show up. And you have to credit the Eagles defense for that because they made Mahomes look pedestrian. 727-858-6650. Reed only ran the ball. How many times? 11 times, I think it was. How many did Hunt have? Let me pull it up. There we go. 11 times. Eagles gave Saquon 25 carries for 2.3 yards. It still helped. So, interesting point, right? Because even with the 2.3 yards, you're still keeping the defense honest because he was still a threat. You didn't want Saquon to get to that second level. You didn't. Joey B wants to know, what was Angel's mocktail of choice? Ooh, I know he doesn't drink, but odds on mocktails. Roy Rogers, surely. Arnold Palmer. You going with an Arnold Palmer, right?
Nope.
Did you have it? Did you have a tea?
No, usually I have a tea. It's what I normally go with. But yesterday I had 1.5 Cokes.
I mean, like the can, the bottle.
In the styrofoam.
Okay, 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5. Because I had ordered the first one. The half one was when we were all.
I'm calling BS on that because you called me on the road, or I called you. You were on the road,
Yeah.
and you got there around 1:15ish.
Yeah.
So in an 11-hour stretch, you only had 1.5 Cokes.
Yep.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. My wife was right next to
Nothing
me.
else to wash down that tasty flavor.
Nothing else. That was it. No
Nothing
beer, no
else?
nothing.
Oh my god! By the way, how was the crowd in Tampa Jones? Tampa Jones? I keep saying Tampa Jones, Tampa Joes.
It was to say the words beyond electric is exactly what it was. I mean, getting there at 1:00. Let me just say that there was already the inside bar was already packed
Did
at
you tell the
1:00.
DJ to shut up while I was doing my spot with you, or no?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I told him you got to knock it off. You got to freaking knock it off. Because
I'm sitting there reeling off these stats, and all you hear is, "Oh, let's go to we got the drink stuff coming up at 1. Oh, don't forget, we're giving away some T-shirts today."
No, thankfully he stood quiet. You know, it was until the end. So in the very beginning, when everybody was getting there, the outside patio that was completely packed. The inside was packed, and then everybody started pouring in. They started just pushing the herd out to the parking lot, and it was in the parking lot itself. There had to be easily over 600 folks, easily.
Wow.
In the parking lot, but it wasn't too bad originally. Which one thing that and Debbie and I both do the same thing. As much as I love to do a broadcast from Tampa Joe's, the only problem is if I go inside, I try not to go in. Like that's my kind of my last go-to on the inside.
Right.
Only because you have the like they like to watch a pregame, or if not, they have music and all, and they believe me, they'll cut it off for me. But then Mike gets on the mic, and then it's like pointless. So on the outside, the only thing that we were worried about, because Debbie said, "Oh, the DJ's about to start," and we were told he was going to be across the other side of the parking lot. Well, come to find out, he was only about 20 yards to our right. So when we first started off the show, the music was it wasn't low. Like if you had to go from 1 to 100. Yeah. When it first started off, I want to say he was probably at 20. As the people started coming in, he would add 10, 10, 10. And then towards the end of the broadcast, when the outside was starting to get jammed up, like he basically, every freaking knob that he possibly had, he cranked it up to 1,000,000. And then Debbie kind of gave me the signal like, okay, it's time to kind of wrap it up, because then you could hear it coming in through the radio.
Yeah, it was obnoxious. I heard it when I was on my spot. Well, let me say, I heard it as I was still in disbelief that I was getting sandbagged on the air, but that's okay. 727-858-6650. Chose the wrong. Yeah, I mean, you don't remember that scene?
Yep, it was the best.
That was a great scene. Yeah,
it was.
Lloyd Bridges. 727-858-6650. All right, let me get some of these Facebook comments.
I think, hold on, before you get to your Facebook comment, I thought the best text out of all the ones you sent last night was, "You saw the suit." I thought that was the classic, most classic one.
Here's, you know what it was? I wrote, this was, so you text me, that was absolutely bullshit. I said, "Chiefs are horrible right now, very out of sync." Well, you called it. You wrote back a sarcastic C. I wrote effing depressing. Then I wrote effing depressing times 2. I wrote game is over, and you wrote I wish. And that's when I snapped, "Bro, it's over. Chiefs are cooked. They are beyond," I meant unprepared.
Right.
And then I wrote effing rats, whole family. I tried. Listen, I had to. I mean, Lloyd checked in, Jonathan checked in. I had people checking in. Like.
Well, the best part at Tampa Joe's, people were coming out saying, "Hey, how do you think Q's doing? How's Q? You all right?" So the wellness chicks were coming from Tampa Joe's.
And Jerry, I apologize. That was on X. I thought that was for both of us, but I appreciate that. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Steve on Twitter chimes in. Defense was ferocious. Absolutely. Chris chimes in. It's one thing to think you're prepared for the Eagles front four. Completely different thing when the game begins. They were too fast, too nasty, too good. And after the first couple of series, I thought the game was over as long as they maintained pressure up front. Beast mode all friggin' night. Yep, 100%. Kevin C chimes in. Hey, Q, haven't How come you haven't mentioned Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, jeez.
Aaron Rodgers not coming back with the Jets, it seems. I mean, oh man. What did you think of the broadcast itself? I know, well, I guess it was hard for you obviously to hear. Like I don't know. The Strahan waving the friggin' Eagles flag, that's just
Yeah. Coming from the guy that talk about hypocrites of all hypocrites, because he's another one too, where he was like, "Oh, I will never talk about the Eagles that way." Blah 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 blah. And he, like I said, there was a lot of people that were on Nick Sirianni, but then you turn around, it's like, come on, dude. And then, by the way, speaking of, when did they stop all of a sudden walking the Lombardi Trophy through the maze of people up onto the stage? It was basically like we came back.
You know why I can't answer that? Because I refuse to watch.
Well, to me, it was bizarre. Like they went into it's honest to God, it felt like a 10-minute break after the game to set up the stage. And then before you know it, and not even Goodell's mic was ready, because when he started speaking, all of a sudden you hear like, and presentation trophy. I'm like, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah. Here's more ball breaking on this friggin' miserable Manolo Luca Lunis Man Up Monday. Juju chimes in. You were probably miserable regardless. Let's face it, Eagles was the last team you wanted to see win, especially with Saquon. Oh, man. I know you're going through it right now, Q. Hang in there. That's JC. D in Atlantic City chimed in as well. He hit me up. He said, yeah, man. He's like, you just got to weather the storm and just buckle up for the ride. So I saw the parade's going to be, Valentine's Day, which is, I guess you can say apropos on a Friday, right? It'll be probably a nice little time. I mean, when I saw the horses, I had to check on my guy from Play It Again. I asked him, I said, were you one of the jerk offs riding a horse? Let me see. Sarge in Delaware chimes in on Facebook. Q, always enjoying your show. You're very entertaining. I love when you get fired up, but I know it's all in good fun. You got a good sense of humor, and we appreciate that big time, all your loyal listeners. With that being said, are the Eagles a dynasty in the making? Can't go there. I can't go there. Oh, well, hold on a second. We got the alert.
Well, speaking of.
Well, look at this. Look who's just decided to just come out of the woodwork. The man. I'm here, fellas. Congrats, Angel. I'm driving. Can't text much. Hey, you know what? That's fine.
Now, the reason why I wanted X-Madman to show up, and thank you, X-Madman, was because let's not forget, just as the regular season was coming to a close, what was X-Madman's quote? If the Eagles go and win the Super Bowl, what he said, it was Howie. Who did this? I did. So guess what Howie gets to say? Exactly what X-Man said.
Wait. That they win because of you or Howie Roseman?
No, because of Howie Roseman.
Oh, no, he was, yeah. I mean, did you have a hand in it? By the way, that was my response to some of the trolling players at 2:30 in the morning. I said, I'm sorry, what were your stats last?
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I won't name them, but it was very. I got one this morning that literally was like, you can cram blank blank up your blank 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 and take your effing blank blank and effing blank and blank, and then wrote, just joking, love you, bro. Yeah, Howie did a great job.
He did.
So to answer Sarge's comment, I don't. Listen, you get to 2 Super Bowl. See, the one thing, this is where you really have to give credit. How many teams get to the Super Bowl as first time and lose it and then get back?
Not many.
Yeah, that's tough. So for them to lose it and then have the run they did last year and then come back down to earth to get back this year, people thought they were going to be a dynasty after they won the first time. It didn't work out. And, so Jay is commenting, another Jay on Facebook. Q, I actually have to backpedal because you've been defending Jalen Hurts for the last several years. I've been crushing him since he's come out of college. And you're right. All the kid does is win. That's all you need in today's NFL.
Yep.
Yeah. How many people were killing that draft pick? Right? I can't believe it. You drafted this kid. He's going to back up Carson. Wow, Carson Wentz got to look over his shoulders, this and that. And he struggled early on. Jalen Hurts struggled. But, all you need is a guy that wins. Like, you're not asking it. It's okay to just go out and have a solid game. They're losing that game yesterday. If Jalen Hurts plays poorly and they need to score, even if their defense kept them in it, they're going to have a hard time winning that game. He didn't do anything extraordinary, but he didn't make the back-breaking mistake. And I don't like to use the phrase game manager because people take it as a slight to quarterbacks. 17 of 22, 221, 2 touchdowns. All right, the bad pick. But then you look at the throw to Brown, and then, listen, that throw, and I thought they were going to go for the dagger, by the way, late in the first half. I figured, why not? Just end it right now. But the throw to Smith, that was an FU throw. That's exactly what that was. That was an FU throw to the critics out there. Shut up already. I can throw the football. I can play. I can lead. I can rise to the occasion in a big pressure spot, and I can win. And that's exactly what he did. And I know a lot of people, listen, I don't know how you're not sold again. You're not sold on this kid. He's got equity now. That head coach has equity. Like these are, you cannot dispute this. These are facts right now. They can go and they can crash back down to earth next year and they go 5-12 and he can struggle and the coach can have you've got wiggle room. You win a championship. You get to the Super Bowl 2 out of 3 years and you win it and you beat a team that's going for their 3rd straight win and you most likely effectively end a dynasty. They can start 0-6 next year. Now, the fan and people will sit there and say, oh my God, this is hard. No back-to-back this year. Whatever. Pump the brakes. You got one. It's a young team. You're going to have to pay players. Josh Sweat is going to cash in. Carter, Smith, big-time players. The kid Williams was making plays. DeJean was making plays, right? That's not a bad conversation to have. Like if you're an Eagles fan or if you're not a fan of the Eagles, like, look, from my standpoint, it's almost envious. Look what they're doing. They have a franchise quarterback. They have a great offensive line. They have a defense. I've said it for years. I've had GMs that have told me this. I've had players and scouts tell me this over the years. You can never have enough pass rushers. You can never have enough depth on the defensive line. I mean, Mayock used to say it for years. Dittinger used to tell me that for years. Go out and draft defense. Have these guys come in and rotate. The Giants did in 2007, and they won a Super Bowl. Yep. They didn't have the best defense in 2011, but they needed to make the plays. We're not sitting here saying this is a Tampa defense or a Baltimore Ravens defense or a Steel Curtain defense. But if you look at what they were able to do this season, whether you believe there was parity in the league or not, they dominated. Their defense dominated. Their defense in the playoffs absolutely dominated. There's no other way around it. They gave up 10 points to Green Bay, right? 22 to the Rams. The Commanders 23, which, oh, by the way, one of the teams that beat them this season, they put up 55 and then they put up 40 and limit Kansas City to 22. And let's be honest, okay, on this Monday, that 22 was basically 14 of it was against backups.
Yep.
Right? That was, I just have to throw it to get, to not get shut out. I mean, I can pull up this. I think I have it in front of me. If you just bear with me for a moment, because it just puts everything in perspective. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes were 8-0 against Fangio's defense coming into the game. They didn't this is what I'm saying. Like, wow. They didn't cross the 50-yard line until 2 minutes left in the third. Kansas City didn't score a point until there was 33 seconds left in the third quarter, basically in the fourth. So you want to sit there semantics with me and argue Jalen Hurts or Fangio and the D were MVP? I don't care. Mahomes did not want to throw the football yesterday. He was so afraid to test Mitchell and Slay. I mean, that's the game plan, right? If you go back in that first half, he threw outside the numbers 3 times for a total of 2 yards.
Yeah.
They were going to be successful if they attacked the middle of the field. He was 4 of 11 for 30 yards. He had 2 picks, and the one was just horrible. He's running to his right, and he throws against his body. What's the first thing you're taught as a kid when you're playing in the street? Never do that. It's like he didn't play well, man. And, look, the last time he lost the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay harassed him. The same thing. Look, in the Bucks loss, he at times was phenomenal, but he wasn't perfect. And he was playing under, I guess you can say, extreme circumstances, almost impossible circumstances. I felt that last night. I felt that every play was um, a chore, right? I felt every play. I mean, Vince, you got to take it, brother. They're not going anywhere, man.
Nope.
I mean, hey, think about this. Think about this. Kenny Pickett has a Super Bowl ring. As you said, Kenny Pickens. They're not going away. They're not going away. But defensively, the game plan, they harassed Mahomes constantly. And if you go back, you're making him unravel. You're making him nervous. And that's exactly what they did last night. I mean, it's just, he didn't play well, man. But you also have to give credit where credit is due. And that's to the defense. And like I said, offensively, you did not have to do anything spectacular. You didn't. The quarterback played a very smart game, and he made some plays with his legs. Special teams was not an issue. Obviously, the field goal kicker was automatic. The defense stepped up. You're getting picks. You're getting pick six. You're getting strip sacks. And, Kansas City, if you're a Kansas City fan right now, it's pretty obvious. You got to circle and bookmark the left tackle. Left tackle problem. They let it linger, man. You cannot try to have Travis Kelce chip on the edge with one of those. You can't. That's unfair. That's like me, just flinging Little Giant guy. It's it's not even it's a horrible matchup. It's a lopsided matchup, as I like to say. Yeah, Rena seems to be back for the moment to break some balls. Vince, how many rings does Fangio have? Kept hearing Goat talk about him when he's coaching against 4 or 5-time champ in Spags. Listen, doesn't matter. It really does not matter. Fangio yesterday out-defensed, if that's even the word, Andy Reid and Spagnuolo. And if we're going to sit here and say that Spags is the greatest defensive coordinator of all time, well, he got outgunned yesterday. He got outgunned. Fangio, it was a great game plan. It was a great game plan. And, people are going to come up and they're going to try to, again, make the excuses. And I don't want to hear it today. Like this whole Mahomes looked sluggish. He looked tired. They looked disinterested. Come on, man. It's Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl. You're trying to go for a three-peat. And we can push, the narrative that the Chiefs picked a bad day to play horrible. Mahomes was bad. The O-line was bad. But it's a simple formula. There's a real simple recipe, okay, to win. Just play defense. Just play defense.
Yep.
It's exactly what they did. Q Angel was talking about my Scarface reference, how he should have been in the locker room saying, who put this? Oh,
yeah. Who put this thing together? Me. Yeah. That's who.
Yeah. That's when he actually had the disagreement. That was his. By the way, that was the first time you started to see the relationship between him and Manolo start to fracture, because Manolo was getting ready to walk. He's like, okay, well, I got a date. I see you later, man. Hasta luego. And then Al Pacino is just like, he goes, hey, I'll set it up with Seidelbaum. And then Al Pacino is like, no. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, my deal. He goes, no, Manolo, no. You're like more of the chicas in the booze. You're not the business end. Who put this together, man? I did. Me. That's who. That's right. That's when you start to see some issues, and then of course it didn't help that, you're having a relationship with Tony Montana's sister.
Yeah, that was not good.
No, for all I know, he could have had my friend Nino Hernandez set up. Fly pelican, look at the pelican fly.
As he just said it, ex-madman.
Yeah, look at the pelican fly, Manny.
How cool would it be if we ever had a on location up there, up your neck of the woods, where we have the radio show followed by Scarface up on a big screen somewhere?
Oh, that would be. Are you kidding me? That would
make that happen.
Yeah, we can do that. That would be a Scarface Sunday. Absolutely. Let me get to this clown. This is a friggin' troll of a friggin' troll of a friggin' troll, which is absolutely just annoying as hell. Monday Marcus chimes in. Q, how many times did you think about crushing little giant guy? I feel really bad for you. You're taking your medicine like a man, but I have to give you credit. You really weren't as obnoxious as you used to be. Yeah, it's not it's nothing to really be obnoxious about. It's just they're a very good team, man, and Eagles fans should celebrate. And I wish they didn't celebrate the way they kind of did in the city, but as long as nobody gets hurt and you guys are having fun and it's safe, and that's all that matters. They're a good team, man. If you look at the odds for next year, they're right there with Kansas City. I think they're plus 600, plus 650. So that kind of tells you that. And you'll have some teams. Oh, so Kenny in DMV wanted to know how my prop bets went. So I had Mahomes. Well, we took Mahomes over 220. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts over 225, 221. Calcaterra, I don't even think he had a snap.
No.
We had Worthy.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see his numbers for the game? I mean, that's the most quiet, great performance by a wide. He had 8 catches for $157. He caught everything that was thrown to him. We had him for a 20-yard rush, which we didn't get. Kelsey was 4.5. I mean, he's done. He's retired. I love how they steered clear of showing Taylor Swift too. Who looked shocked that she was getting friggin' booed. Go figure. I don't know. Whatever. Sorry, Swifties. Smith and Brown, we didn't hit, but we thought Smith was going to have a big game. Not even close to Saquon. We didn't do very well. I think I also had, or I gave you guys. Oh, there's another thing. Did you notice Pacheco got 0 touches?
Absolutely nothing. I don't even think he was in a game. I think he stayed back in Kansas City or in the locker room.
He was in the game. Where's Trevor? I thought he would call up on Logador del Radio Loco y Mentiroso Lunes. Oh, so we're adding it. It's Manolo Man Up Lunes Loco Mentiroso Monday. And rightfully so, because like I said, because I was bamboozled yesterday.
No, you weren't.
Oh, Calcaterra didn't have the drop. It wasn't him because I gave you guys that. I said, all this clown needs is one catch. No, it was a backup. Yep. It was Johnny Watson or Johnny Wilson. That's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a, quote, wide receiver. I don't think, did he have a Smith, Brown, Dotson, Barkley, Goddard. Goddard didn't do much.
Nope.
And defensively, they played well. Sweat had 2.5 sacks. You could have named him MVP. 6 tackles, 2.5 sacks, right?
I really thought the young kid from Iowa, our birthday boy,
DeJean.
Yep. Rick and I both looked at each other when he had the interception run back for a touchdown. At the time, he was the lead candidate for MVP.
Yeah, by the way, that kid's 22. Is his 2nd-round draft pick.
Yep. Howie's getting better. Listen, people make as much fun as they want to. I know at times we used to get frustrated with Howie, but I tell you what, the last 3 seasons, man, he has been working crazy magic.
Well, here's the big question. The $64,000 question.
All right.
on this Monday. Are you now sold on Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, okay. Majority of my
You bitched for 3 weeks. All I heard from you was that he didn't take a plane to Seattle. I mean, at nauseum.
Yeah, because it was true. It was, you can't, if you're going to be there, you got to be there. I don't care how frustrated you become with the team. Take your licks because then
He
you
was
have
there.
enough.
He just didn't fly with him. All right, let's move past that moment.
Yeah.
You've never really been a big Jalen Hurts guy, and you've never been a Sirianni guy. So again, be honest. Where are you right now on him?
No, I mean, listen, Jalen, now, does he deserve $30 million per year? I would say probably not. Probably not. But he's probably going to somewhere be in the realm of maybe 20, 22 million per year because of his rookie contract coming up. I thought it was a big surprise when all of us thought about when Jalen Hurts was picked in the second round and late that matter in the second round. It was like, wow, interesting. Why would the Eagles go that way? So it was, I didn't have a problem as far as it was just a surprise move by Howie, but Howie knew something more than all of us did. And he's never had the same coordinators since high school. Apparently, all the way from high school through college down to pros, he hasn't, but he's adjusted. But no, my biggest issue I've always had with Jalen, and I even yelled yesterday, we're at Tampa Joe's, when he's scrambling around, when there's nothing there, throw the damn ball away. That's the one biggest thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I get it, but today's not the day to.
No, but at the same time too. No, I'm in Nick Sirianni. He proved his worthiness. He really did, and I liked it where there was.
So we're going to bookmark this now. If they're 2-6 next year, and Hurts is struggling, and Sirianni's doing the tactics, so you're convinced now because he's going to get a contract. I mean, what was he, a lame duck? I think he was only signed for another year or so. He's going to get a contract extension.
Yeah, he is at least 3 years, at least. It's gonna be another 3 years.
Big Dom too. He got a little camera time yesterday.
When
I saw that and my phone lit up, I just said that's it. Listen, if I was a drinking man, I probably would have found a bottle in front of me. I thought my homeboy would scramble for a TD inside the 10 yards for the first TD. Ooh, yeah, I thought so too. Dotson would have been a great scorer. I had one of the guys I know, he showed me this. He put together a bankroll. It's actually a young kid that I know from radio. And I'm like, all right, let me see what we got here. So he's telling me some of his prop bets. And then for some reason, man, he did this like 12-player prop. I mean, I have the screenshot, and I think like 9 of them hit. If he would have hit all 12, it would have been about 150,000. I mean, it was ridiculous. I think he did it with some NBA shit. You can mix and match, or
right.
Coin flip and the Gatorade and all this other stuff.
It makes you wonder, though, Q. I wonder how did Vegas really do yesterday? Because I'm pretty sure how many people bet upon Kansas City and three-peating?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people did. I mean, so the Eagles crushed the Chiefs, right? So that's a win to the sports books because a lot of money was being laid. There was $1.39 billion being wagered on the game. And the biggest bets, I can tell you right now, I know a couple bettors had a couple million on Kansas City. Wow. So they said 23 billion. All right, here you go. So Draft DK took a $300,000 bet spread across 3 bets, on the Eagles. Combined odds of 104 if the Eagles win, which they did. So he profited 311. So the payout was 600,000. Caesars took a 225,000 bet on the Eagles minus 105. So that's a nice $450,000 chunk of change. I know there was like a $400,000 bet on the Chiefs money line. And I thought there was $1 million bet because if that's the case, the line would have moved a touch and it sat exactly where we thought it was going to sit. But listen, everyone's riding on Kansas City and you're taking all these bets, that's your best. So that game, Philly closes a 1-point dog, right? 1.5, 1-point dog. When it was 24-0 and 40-6, Kansas City scored. Now, what did help if you played the over, because Kansas City had the, oh, by the way, touchdown, that pushed it over 48.5. So if you took that, you needed those scores. That was the most lopsided Super Bowl since 2021. Kansas City lost to Tampa 31-9. And it was a good day. I mean, Vegas wise, think about it. If you're taking all money in the handle on Kansas City and Kansas City loses, they're profitable.
Yep. By the way, Jerry in Rhode Island, he's got 2 texts that came in. First one being, never thought of it, but should have bet you, Q. If the Eagles won, you should have to wear a championship T-shirt. But wait, because there is something coming up. And then the other thing he says, what is the saying? All the players were quoting the Sirianni kept drilling one player excellence, his team, something. They all bought into that.
No, you're right. I mean, it was pretty much, yes. It was his, I think they kept repeating. I think Saquon was repeating it. Jalen Hurts was repeating it. But to Jerry's message, it was, just
the book.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all buying in. And that's what you need, man. And I know people are still like, how come Jalen Hurts doesn't this or that or smile? It's not who he is.
No, it's not. I learned that very early on. Jalen Hurts he cracked, I think, the biggest smile last night when he was on the NFL Network after the game was over with Darius Slay. And Darius thought he was going to come up there for a second, like, oh, you're leaving? He's like, no, I'm staying. And they asked Jalen Hurts a question. It was the biggest smile I have ever seen him smile, other than when he hugged his dad.
No, you're right. Joe D chimes in again. Q, do you think there were more money line bets on Kansas City? Oh, yeah. I bet you if you go back and you look, Vegas took a substantial amount of action in game. That was probably a massive decision by bettors. If you look at BetMGM and you look at the odds, because think about it. I'm sure they took a lot of like in progress money line bets. I think at half it was 9-1 or 10-1. So if you're like down 10-0, 17-24, like 17-0. I bet you there was a slew of Kansas City guys that were hedging or chasing, and they're like, hey, they're going to come back. Let me get some great odds down 17-0. Now, obviously, it's up in their face. Prime Sportsbook, which operates in Ohio and New Jersey, they did well with the Eagles winning. That's what they needed. I mean, it was a rout, too.
Yep.
And the only thing that probably screwed some people, most sports books closed at either 48 or 48.5. Now, everyone was jumping on the over. Everyone was jumping on the over. Like, that's something we talked about. You almost just sat there and said, okay, here we go. Here's the over. Here's the over. Here's the over. He's a killer Q. Let him know. Talking about Jalen Hurts. Jared, good to hear from you, brother. Big Eagles fan, by the way. So it closed, I think, at 48.5. And Kansas City's offense just stalled. I mean, they didn't do anything. So if you took the total in the game, you're sitting at 24-0 and then 24-6. You're like, oh my God, I need something to happen right now. I need something. And then you get the dagger throw from Hurts, and that it forces Kansas City. Backups are going to be in, 6.5 to go. They're going to play soft coverage, burn the clock, let Kansas City go right down the field, and you got what you needed, and that was the touchdown to push it over. Because that was a dicey proposition for some people, man. I mean, I thought the game was going to be that 35-31 type. It was going to hit 58 to 60 plus. It hit 62, but again, the reality is this. You needed those last BS touchdowns. You're sitting at a game. You're sitting at 40-6, right? 40-6 because Kansas City, here's another point of reference. Kansas City went for 2. They didn't get it. And the Eagles kicked the field goal. So now you're like, all right, plenty of time. All I need is one Mahomes score. And you got it. The following drive to make it 40-14, that obviously pushes the total over 48 and you can breathe. That's why, again, man, it was probably dicey for a couple people, right? Hurts sounded normal when on stage with Slay, finally loosened up a little bit. Good for him. Total closed at 48. Oh, total live at half. I'm sorry. Total live at half. Okay, wow. 40. Jeez. Wow. You're right. Jared's probably right about that. People were probably jumping on that. It's not like a couple years ago when New England's down 28-3. I mean, imagine the in-game betting and the odds for New England down 28-3 against the Atlanta Falcons. And then they came back and they won that one. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back. And by the way, I will do something that just absolutely, when I say it pains me, it absolutely pains me. And we will have it on the other side. We'll take you up to 6.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, we got to go to commercial? No, we'll go to commercial first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
All right, I'll get to this in a second. We see the screen up. I'll get to this in a second. It was awesome seeing Hurts in the hallway by himself with a cigar and the Lombardi after being benched by Tua in the championship at Bama. This has to feel great for him, and he just kept his head down and kept working. Yeah, listen. Ultimately, end of day, Eagles were simply the better team. Chiefs winning games, smoke and mirrors. Not sure the dynasty is dead and another started, but clearly on Sunday, Philly outclassed them up and down the field. Now, I have to do something that pains me to do. It pains me. It pains me to do this. And now there's a reason behind it. Because a man always honors his bets. Always honors his bets. Now, one of my good friends passed away a couple years ago. He was one of the biggest Eagles fans in the world. When they won, we had a bet because he knows, as you know, as many know, as the listening audience knows, I cannot fucking stand the Eagles fight song. I can't, it's just sick. No. So we made a gentleman bet and he said, listen, if they win on your radio show, you just got to sing it. And he said, you got to be into it. You got to be genuine about it. And I was like, no, not friggin' happening. No, go away. Not happening. Well, obviously the Eagles won a couple of years ago. He called up, they played it. I sang, I got harassed. I got trolled. People were just dying hysterically. They were listening all over the place because I just was butchering the words. I was miserable. I was just beyond disheveled about doing it. I couldn't do it, Angel. I couldn't take it. So I came up with my own rendition. I was just, uh, I couldn't take it. Now, and the beauty, and his name was Jason, and his nickname was Riff, right? Because he was a big time Eagles fan, big time sports fan. And we knew when we were getting ready to go out on Saturday night, if you put the collar up, that means he was getting ready to get loose. That's the type of guy he was. So I'm going to be a man of my word, and it's going to pain me. Now, again, we had a very special relationship where the ball breaking was just at an all time minimum. But I will put Giant Guy on the side for a moment. I will take a deep breath. And this is only the second time in 20 plus years of media and radio. And I hope it never happens again. I will sing this horrible, miserable song. I hope I can hear it, Angel, but let's see what happens. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Enjoy.
So high on the road,
Proud.
I-L-E-O-N Eagles. I just can't stand. I can't stand that song.
Best song ever. Period. Best one ever.
It's just so annoying. But you know what? He was such a good friend, and he was such a diehard Eagles fan. That's why the two things I said, and I text my buddies, I said two things. I said, somewhere high above, he's chuckling and smiling. But then I also said this, and I'm such a prick for saying it. And I know I shouldn't say it. I said, in a couple days, somewhere in a very small, and please, you know how people get sensitive.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just going to try to, somewhere in a small third world country, there are going to be little kids running around smiling because they're wearing Kansas City 3
I didn't even think about that one.
And that's okay. And I'm not, I'm not making fun of the situation.
Correct.
Please. What I'm saying is, we always see the commercials. Hey, Eagles fans, your Eagles just won the Super Bowl. How about, hey, Kansas City fans, your team choked. Oh my God.
It's true. I didn't even think about that one.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, somewhere they're kicking a soccer ball around and someone's like, Kansas City 3 champions.
When did that happen?
Reminds me of Nacho Libre's. Yeah, listen, you have to honor the bet. It was, because born in New York and then moved to South Jersey, and a lot of family and friends were all Philly fans. I just remember all my uncles were Eagles fans, man.
Right.
All of them, man. They were all Eagles fans, Phillies fans, Sixers, Flyers fans. My older cousins to this day still think Bobby Nystrom was offsides, back in the day with the Islanders and the Flyers. My buddies that have moved away, I told you, I remember sitting there in 93 when Mitch Williams gave up the home run. They were like, you need to leave. But I've also had some of the worst sports moments ever. One of my other really best friends came over one time, and I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget when Patrick Ewing missed a layup, the finger on Game 7, and my father looked at him and goes, I think it's time you leave. Like, so appreciate, the ball breaking, right? Because that's what it's all about. Like, you cannot take this too serious.
No.
Sports, man. And like, it was is we go back and forth and we're on this thread and I'm like, oh my God, it's like you got to mute this shit after a while because it's just a back and forth. But there's a uniqueness with that because it's a bond and sports bonds, everyone together. You go to sports with your friends or go to college or go to the bars and you watch these games or well, my team's better than your team. It's the debate, the great debate. That's the beauty of what sports does. And someone asked me, they go, "Are you rooting for the Eagles?" And I was like, "Do you fucking know me?" I'm like, "You listened to me before?" But you also have to take a step back and you have to again appreciate when a team dominated, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Could Angel have handled the 90s with your circle of friends and New York team success?
Yeah.
Um, Angel kind of gave us, to be honest, Angel kind of gave us the Babe in the Woods treatment. He did the Delco, woe is me, the victim, the Babe in the Woods. I'm not going to say the Karen, but he gave us the Babe in the Woods. Woe is me. I don't know if the Eagles have to score 1,016 points to win this game. I'm only going to be comfortable when the Eagles are ahead 76-2 with 2 minutes to go. And then boom, what happens?
No, it's true.
Trevor.
Trevor, not true. Because living in Philly, there was a lot of Giants fans. And I had friends that were from New York and they were Yankees fans. And I think it was worse hearing it from the Yankees fans than it was from Giants fans. Because Giants fans would just rub it into you come game day or game week. Yankees fans would rub it in forever. And 2009, it was relentless.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, two things.
Yeah.
Because Philly and New York are so close,
Mhm.
and there's that, I've always said for years, I've always believed Philly has somewhat of the inferiority complex to New York. Okay. That's, but when you look at the success rate over the last several years in sports, Philly dwarfs what New York's doing. I mean, they dwarf what New York's doing. And sometimes it's cynical. Sometimes you just have a run. I'm sure it annoyed the hell out of you when the Yankees were winning. But when the Giants were winning Super Bowls, the Eagles were still beating them in the regular season.
Yep.
Those Giant teams, Parcells teams could not beat Buddy Ryan's teams. Like, I'll take the Super Bowls. But now I'm starting to get a little, I heard those were vicious times for Philly fans in Q's neighborhood. Yeah, I'll tell you what, got ugly. We don't mess around, man. I'll tell you though, I'm starting to get a little worried because I'm looking at this Eagles team. They're young. They're going to have to pay some players. Howie's not going anywhere. Not in his head. Sirianni's not going anywhere. Even though I will admit, that the highlight of him running down the sideline with DeJean's pick, it was all right. I mean, didn't give me goosebumps like the Harrison Ford commercial. And remember, that's a Jeep and he's a Ford. But it's a young team, and the NFC, they can be right back there again next year.
Right. We got a
That's what's
call.
scary.
But the second time the person called here, this is coming in from Virginia. Hello, you're on the line.
Hello. Can you hear me, Q?
I can.
So I'd like to thank you and Angel for putting on a great show.
Okay.
Do you know who this is?
I'm calling from Virginia.
From a secure, undisclosed location.
The Bunker Boys?
I had to do some research today.
Yes, Trevor, one of the original B-boys. Go ahead. You know what, Trevor? Have your moment, brother.
Oh, I'm having it. So I just want the little listeners to know how instrumental you were in the Eagles Super Bowl.
First of all, hold on.
I went back and I looked at the tape.
Yeah, go ahead.
From September 30th, at 9 minutes in on the Man Up Monday, you said the Eagles were cooked 3 times.
Oh, no.
You realize that? So you first mushed us all the way to the Super Bowl. We lost one game after that.
Yeah, hold on. Let me say this. First of all, you sound like one of those first-time, long-time callers.
And I'll take Trevor's call any day. Call often, Trevor.
Hold on. Second of all, did I really do that? Did I say the Eagles were cooked? Do we have to go back to the tape?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I said that. Wait, I said that when? Wait.
You said they were cooked. And before those 9 minutes were up, you completely bashed Jalen Hurts.
Wait, hold on a second. What? Hold on. What week was this?
This was September 30th. It was right after the Tampa loss.
September. You
Oh, he is right. He is right.
I keep
Hold on a
receipts, Richie.
This is. Hold on. I'm gonna man up. Hold on. I gotta pull up the friggin' schedule here for prosperity. I have to fact check you on this one. Oh, that's when they got hammered 33-16. Hurts stunk that game.
And you said we were cooked.
What do you want me to say? He got sacked.
Nice.
Oh, they were doing 2 at the time, and I said they were cooked.
And like a week later, I unfortunately mushed the Phillies when I just said Mets cooked after Schwarber hit that home run, and I got mocked and heckled relentlessly.
Yeah, you know what, Trevor? Though the Bunker Boys strike me these guys that they want to hold off on the text, but they just can't control themselves. And by the way, do they have reception? Obviously, you have good freaking reception in the mountains.
What's it? Wait a minute, hold on. What's who's our folks over
Yeah.
Not Nomad. What the hell is that? What's the one in Colorado? Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank here. I'm thinking that Nomads is on my freaking brain, but it's not. But when obviously our protection for our dignitaries, where obviously they take them down deep in the bunker.
Oh, NORAD.
There you go.
I'm starting to wonder, do the Bunker Boys, do they know what's going on with the drones? Do they have satellite phones? I mean, what?
Oh, we're aware.
Are you aware? Now, again, all right, I will man up. If I said that, then that's not good after 2 weeks.
And you may have mushed us into a complete dynasty.
Hold on a second.
The Eagles are young. We're worried about what? Becton and Goddard?
Wait. This is your theory now. Hold on. See, this is nonsense. This is where I have to just now put the foot down. I've done everything you've all asked. I've worn the green. I've sang the song. I've given nonstop for 2 hours proper respect. I almost threw this guy in the can the other day. I haven't fed the dog yet dinner. So I've done everything you guys have asked. Now you're basically saying I single-handedly might have mushed the Eagles into a dynasty because of that take 15 weeks ago.
I am. We lost one game from September 30th on. And I got blamed for mushing the Phillies out.
Right, Angel.
So you got to take the blame for this.
Yeah, they beat the Browns. They haven't. Yeah, well, the Commanders game.
Commanders, and you let Lake off the hook. By the way, no one ever mentioned how they, took out our 2 best players and then won the game barely.
Can you
Smith catches that ball, we probably win.
Can you enjoy today and yesterday before you start with the dynasty talk? Even the man's chiming in. I have a lock bet for next year under Eagles total wins. So right now then, okay, because it's not only a miserable Mentiroso, Loco Lunas, Mierdas, Lunas Monday, Man Up Manolo on the show, Trevor. Are you guaranteeing back-to-back right now? And I don't like the fact
How about this? I'll guarantee there will be a three-peat in 2027.
Wow.
Wait, what?
You heard it here first. You got your scoop.
Well, hold on for that tape.
No, we don't do the tape stuff anymore. Just no. The fact that
I'm used to 610 back in the day.
Listen, rack 'em, Angel. The fact that you turned around and you went back in the archives. I mean, we might have to send you some merch. We might have to get the store open for you.
We may have to. That was a pretty good take. Listen, that was a pretty good take.
Listen, Trevor, I'm glad that reception's good in the mountain, brother, and congratulations on the Eagles.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Get the hell out of here.
All right. See you.
See you, Trevor. Oh, that was great.
I don't need that kind of nonsense in my life. I don't even want to look at that banner anymore that says on the line, Trevor. Oh my God. That is just Horrible. Horrible. I'm going to read off, and I'm not going to tell you who the player is.
Oh, boy. All right.
This was at 4:35. What's going on, big dog? I'm glad that you haven't turned off your phone. Doing a little smoking and joking, as you say. Having a blast right now. Oh, by the way, world fucking champs. How do you like that? You can stick the Giants right up your ass.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My response was, who is this? When I know who it is. Hey, they had their fun. Listen, you guys, congratulations. All I'm going to say is I knew yesterday was a bad day when I got sandbagged by Angel, and I'm going to leave it at that. And by the way, the fact I had to go back. I mean, if I said that they were cooked after 4 weeks, that's a bad take by me. Hold on a second. Let me see something.
Oh, geez. He's going back and take a look. Hang on, folks.
So what date was that?
I haven't pulled up the schedule.
4 months. Hold on. 4 months, 4 months. We were live, right?
Yeah. We sure were.
I'm going to have to find that. That's pretty impressive that he stamped it.
Yeah.
I mean, and the funny thing is, oh, hold on a second. 4 months ago, Jalen Hurts is a major problem with the Eagles right now. Head coach needs to go. Hold on. Let me see. I got to check the title. Because, sometimes show notes.
Yep.
Wow. September, October. You know what? The dates are starting to line up. This is not good. Oh, that was on BYP. No, wait.
No, that was here on the show.
Wow, look at this. Only 10 carries. Kellen Moore stinks. Look. You guys commenting. Wow. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's we're killing. We're killing. I don't know who we were killing there. We're killing Doug Peterson. We're killing Doug. I'm going to, you know what? We'll see if we can line that up for Friday. I have to find that. I will definitely try to find it. Taylor's breakup album going to be wild. You think Kelsey was probably thinking to himself, oh my God, if she breaks up with me, I'm screwed.
Oh, so that was the first thing I looked at last night. I looked over at Debbie and I said, you know what?
Wait a second. I bet that text was from Drew. It was not. No, Ron doesn't curse.
I said to Debbie yesterday, I said, imagine if she turns to Travis, goes down to the locker room and says, I'm sorry, I have to go back to my allegiance. I don't date losers. I want winners.
It could be. At the moment you were correct, Q, the Eagles turned it on from around there. Exactly. So this, I cannot be held accountable for this run. I don't want to be held accountable for this run. I don't want any parts of this run. I don't want it to be known that I've helped turn their season around. Absolutely not. Unbelievable.
And by the way, it has.
I got to deal with this crap for how long? I'm looking at the closed caption coming up. Yeah, I'm a little critical of Hurts on that day. But I've also walked back to comments. At least I've man up. I've given credit, have I not?
Yeah, you have.
Right? See, now this is facts. There you go. He's poking the bear. Mahomes wearing a green suit. You want to blame someone? Blame Mahomes. You want to give me credit? I'll take the credit. But again,
well, I do have a comment from Patrick Mahomes before he started the game. So hang on so you can hear it.
Wait, hold on, Angel. This is what I'm saying.
What?
I'm also feeling pretty good when you spite picked against the Eagles 2 weeks. Wait, hold on a second.
Sure.
You're not going to Kermit the Frog this, are you?
No, I'm not.
Because can we talk about that for a moment? What are they doing with poor Kermit the Frog in the streets of Philadelphia? That's unnecessary.
Well, that is unnecessary. No, I'm not. I don't ever freaking do that to Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking a line from exactly what he said.
Go ahead.
My favorite color is green. Green, and that's always been my favorite color. St. Patrick's Day, it worked out perfectly.
With the frog. All right, got to start. I had too many comments on Facebook. I had too much stuff on X to just. I'm just drained. I'm just getting absolutely zapped. I mean, I had to come out. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm sitting here by myself, man, on a friggin' island. I'm drowning over here, and you're sitting there with your friggin' green jersey and your stupid friggin' Chastire cat smile. Is that what it's called? Smile. And I got to deal with this kind of nonsense. All I can say is congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's all I can say. I mean, would you, we'll be back on the air Wednesday, but if you want to, we can, I'll allow you to bring us out with the fight song. I mean, that's the kind of guy.
Wow.
Because I want to give, again, I want to give credence. Scared to go to Philly on Friday. Nah, it'll be a good time, Philly. Thank you, Jay. Taking a beating on the level. What Mahomes? That's exactly it. Got well over 100 comments on here on Facebook coming through. On I can't get to all of them because you guys are you want blood. You guys want blood, and I'm not going to give it to you.
Oh, hold on. So Gabriel he said, I thought I saw Angel on the top of a pole last night on Main Street post game. No, but speaking of, did you see? And Gabriel, our NYC guy, did you see on the Empire State Building? Obviously, they lit it up green for the second time, but then
disgrace. Yeah. What are we doing, Empire State Building? Stop.
But it was funny though because the person who runs that X account says from the Empire State Building, "I think I'm going to be sick, but it's going to be here all night."
That's horrible. By the way, Kevin chimes in. Q. I'm dying laughing talking about those kids running around with Chiefs 3-peach. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, there's no, malicious intent with the comment. I mean, that's great. You got close to where I'm just saying somewhere somebody probably thinks the Chiefs are a dynasty and they won 3 in a row. Yeah, that's embarrassing. I mean, look, what are you doing, Empire State? What are you doing, Strahan? It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. See, this is the problem we're going to run into. Like the Bunker Boys, Trevor. This is what I'm not going to be able to tolerate. 365 more friggin' days of this, and it's open season on my ass. It's open season. I can't say dick. I can't say anything. Props to UQ for getting smacked around for 12 rounds and still standing barely. But yes, that's exactly it. I mean, seriously. I mean, you guys have liver shot me. You've kicked me in the nuts. You drive me. You want to stone me. Oh, I've given credit where credit is due. Absolutely credit where credit is due. And forgive me, as Monday Marcus chimes in, Q, I hate to do it, but you did say they were cooked after 4 weeks.
See? Oh, boy.
But here's the difference. It is a Loco Lunes, Mentiroso Miras, Manolo, Man Up Monday. And that's what we do. We man up. That's what we do. We man up, Angel. You know what we don't do?
What's that?
We don't sit there and sandbag those who we call friends and contemporaries just for some radio fodder at Tampa Joe's on a Sunday around 2:35 p.m.
It's got nothing to do with me.
Taking an absolute beating. Oh, yes. Let's add on. Exactly. Mentiroso, Mirda, Manolo, Maricon, Lunes Loco, Monday edition. Exactly. Man it up. Man it up. No, I don't need, this is what I'm saying. There's no, mush rules my ass. I don't want to hear that, Trevor. You had your couple minutes on the show. Okay, you had your friggin' segment. You were able to wax poetic. It's to drive with Q. It's not to drive with the Bunker Boys. There's no manual on Mish rules. None.
Hey, he made an appearance from NORAD.
But, I still question that. He's probably driving around somewhere in Philadelphia. He's probably the ones greasing up the poles right now as we speak. All of a sudden, airplane mode. They got reception in the bunker. Probably got one of those 1980s big phones. Remember those babies?
Big brick phones?
Miami Vice
best probably lasts about an hour.
Yeah. All right, Angel. Go ahead. Bring us home with the nonsense as fly, go fly. On the road to victory. Fight, fight, fly, Eagle, fight. A touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em high or hit 'em low. I don't give a shit. Let's go. Fly, Eagle, fly. On the road to victory. Let me spell like the mayor. Eiogls. All right, we will see you guys on Wednesday for another edition again of The Drive with Q. Angel, are we going to be hearing you?
Yeah, we're
Sporadically? All right, we'll keep it at that.
yeah.
We got Jay coming up.
Jay's coming up,
All
so
right.
he'll be on. We'll get
Jay's
into it
coming up.
with Jay at 6:00, and then
Lloyd Vance, I believe, with the draw. Lloyd Vance is again. Lloyd Vance is Insider Football. Damn, I should have recorded this one without the music. Yeah, but it's to live in infamy. It's on the YouTube channel.
sure is. It sure is.
Oh my goodness. All right. Appreciate all the comments. And again, congratulations to the Eagles fans. You earned it. You were the better team. You were a dominating team. And I'm glad I was able to infuse a little life into a lifeless franchise after 4 weeks. That's all. So I will see you guys on Lloyd Vance was definitely a babe in the woods mode. I'm going to give it to friggin' Lloyd because he was friggin' Switzerland. He would not give me. I mean, it was to the point. I can't take it sometimes. Like, you know what? Give me the opinion, man. I don't need Swiss. I don't need Switzerland. I don't need the Alps. I don't need the cheese. I don't need any of that kind of stuff. Well, we need the cheese for some of the rats that have been chiming in today. All right, Jay's coming up. Yeah, go ahead. You want to do like the Eli? You want to show the ring one more time? Go ahead. Big screen it.
I'm good.
Go ahead. Big screen it. Go ahead. Let me see. Go ahead. Big screen it like you did, like on the commercial. Hey, how about 2 of these?
It's
all right. Everyone have a good Sports Monday. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. As always, for Angel Martinez, I'm Rich Quinones. Have a good Sports Monday. Eagles fans, enjoy it. If we don't talk to you Wednesday or Friday, if you guys are just having fun the rest of the week, enjoy the parade. But we'll be on during the week as well with The Drive with Q. As always, hasta luego. Buen día.